You indeed have guts, daring to come see me. In the huge throne, Fantasy Spirit Emperor looked down at Hong, laughing softly. Aren't you afraid I'll order someone to kill you in reality? With Fantasy Spirit Emperor's power, with an order, there would definitely be many undyings from the Ganwu universe country fighting to kill Hong. I'm afraid, Hong said respectfully. Haha, so you can be afraid too. Fantasy Spirit's voice was like the best instrument in the world, the best musician playing music, causing one's heart to tremble. Since you're afraid, why did you come? I'm afraid of death, afraid of my dreams not being realized. Hong said respectfully, however some things can't be retreated just because I'm afraid. Qing treated me so sincerely, how can I be afraid of death? No matter what, I'll do my best to think of a way, even if I die, I won't regret it. Ah. Fantasy Spirit King, who was sitting on the throne, looked at Hong and gasped. Afraid of death, but there are some things you won't regret even if you die? Fantasy Spirit King looked at the figure below, and her eyes became hazy as she muttered, dying and having your soul destroyed is scary, but you still do it without regrets. Her voice reverberated within 10 meters around her, and no one else in the hall could hear it. If only he could do the same back then. Fantasy Spirit's expression changed, her eyes occasionally gentle, occasionally terrifying. Rumble. The entire hall trembled faintly, and countless strange noises reverberated in everyone's ears. This caused Luo Feng, Hong and the other women's expressions to change. Fantasy Spirit regained her calm, the sounds vanished. She looked down at Hong from the throne. Hong, I'll give you a chance to gamble your life. Luo Feng's expression changed. Gamble his life. Fantasy Spirit Emperor, please explain. Hong bowed. Very simple. Fantasy Spirit smiled. I'll give you two choices. One, when you reach the pinnacle of Sector Lord, go participate in the universe wars in the outer region. If you can accumulate enough battle merits to get a first-grade medal, I won't obstruct you and Qing. At the same time, I promise I won't expel her from my sect. The second choice is for you to pass the 18 levels of love illusions I set up. If you successfully pass the 18 love illusions, I won't stop you and Qing, and I promise I won't expel Qing. But as long as you fail, then I'll definitely order the Universe Mercenary Alliance to send experts to kill you. Fantasy Spirit Emperor stared at Hong below. This is a gamble with your life. If you fail, you will die. If you succeed, you will have a chance to be with Qing. Whether you two are in love, break up or get married, I won't care. If you choose the first option, you will have the time to cultivate from now until the peak of the Sector Lord. I can guarantee that you will be able to cultivate until the peak of the Sector Lord. The second option is to immediately attempt the 18 love illusions. Fantasy Spirit King looked down at Feng Hong. Do you dare to bet your life? The atmosphere seemed to freeze. The entire hall was silent. Even her disciple, the black-winged man, did not dare to make a sound. He and the muslin-clothed women all felt that Fantasy Spirit King was not the same as usual. Big brother? Luo Feng looked at Hong. Gambling with your life? Was this a joke? If Hong really accepted the bet and was chased by the Universe Mercenary Alliance, then even True Yen Emperor wouldn't have the right to stop him. I choose the second option. Hong looked up at Fantasy Spirit Emperor high above in her throne. Attempting the 18 love illusions, if I fail, there's no need for you to send people to kill me. I'll head straight to one of the Universe Mercenary Alliance bases. In front of the base members, I'll kill myself and broadcast it to you in the virtual universe network. In her throne, Fantasy Spirit Emperor squinted. Are you sure you're going to attempt the 18 love illusions? Fantasy Spirit said. If you choose the Sector Lord Pinnacle to participate in the universe wars, you can live for a long time. And I can even help you reach the pinnacle. I'll ask you one last time, do you want to change your choice? No. Hong's face revealed a smile. Luo Feng looked at Hong beside him. Looking at the smile on his face. That was a smile that had given his all without any worries. Big brother? Luo Feng was panicking. Yes. His big brother's mental state training was indeed extremely high. He could be said to be one of the few saints of Earth since ancient times. However, these illusions weren't from the fantasy ocean, but from the incomparably powerful emperor-level undying close to his teacher True Yen. Fantasy Spirit Emperors. Who knows, the pressure it contained might even make Hong collapse. Who? Fantasy Spirit King stood up and looked down at Hong. Looking into his eyes, there was no trace of hesitation in his eyes, nor was there the craziness of grinding his teeth. There was only a hint of sharpness in his eyes. Very good. Fantasy Spirit Emperor ordered, Bushla, bring Hong to the Fantasy Palace directly to the 101st level. Shwa. Fantasy Spirit Emperor immediately vanished. Yes, teacher. The black-feathered man Bushla bowed respectfully, after which he looked pitifully at Hong. Follow me. Fantasy Spirit Palace was in an uproar. A universe-level punk actually wanted to attempt the 18 love illusions. The moment he failed, his soul would be destroyed. Immediately, many people in the illusionary spirit palace quickly ran towards the illusory realm palace. Your Majesty Qing, that Hong has chosen to gamble his life and attempt the 18 love illusions. If he succeeds, Fantasy Spirit Emperor won't stop you from being with that man, and won't chase you out either. However, the moment he fails, he'll be killed in reality. A quiet pavilion stood two young ladies, one of them a green-robed lady said softly. Within the pavilion, a short-haired lady stood at the door, her slender fingers were already gripping so hard they were pale. I want to go out. The short-haired lady said softly. Your Majesty Qing Fantasy Spirit Emperor's orders, who would dare go against it? We can report everything that happens outside to you, but please don't make things difficult for us. The green-robed lady said. The short-haired lady's eyes gleamed fiercely. She closed the door. This pavilion was a point where she entered the virtual universe network. As long as she entered the virtual universe, she would appear in this pavilion. And now, within the virtual universe, she was restricted from leaving. In reality, she too was trapped within the god country of her ancestor Silver Snow official. Big Brother Hong. The short-haired woman walked to a window and opened it. She didn't flee. The two evil spirits at the door were Sector Lord level and were specially here to watch her. She was only a universe level. As long as the two didn't go easy on her, how could she flee? Don't do stupid things. 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 Moments later. Don't worry, wait for me. This was Hong's reply. She fell silent. Big Brother Hong, you. The short-haired girl raised her head and looked through the window at the distant palace that towered into the clouds. That was the Illusory Realm Palace within the group of palaces in the Illusory Spirit Palace. Alive. You must survive. Many people gathered in the palace, such as demons and spirits, and some disciples under Fantasy Spirit King. I dare say that little guy will definitely die. How can he succeed? The 18 levels of love illusions, no matter how strong the universe level punk is, he won't be able to succeed. This is a dead end. Look, that's the punk that attempted the 18 levels of love illusions. Oh, the silver-armored one? No, the silver-armored one is said to be the absolute genius Luo Feng from the Virtual Universe Company's primal region. The black-armored one is. Wow, that's Luo Feng? So handsome. Don't be smitten. I feel that Hong is quite handsome too. It's a pity that he has to die. Luo Feng and Hong followed the black-feathered man Bushla as they walked along the walkway. Looking around, looking into the distance, there were large amounts of purple-eyed ladies. The entire Illusory Spirit Palace was made up of about 99% females, and the female servants were all from the Evil Spirits clan, all of them extremely beautiful and alluring. Big brother, your mental state training is high. However, this illusion, it's Fantasy Spirit Emperors. Luo Feng communicated anxiously. You are strong, but you can't underestimate the absolute beings of the universe. The moment you fail, you'll die without a doubt, and that illusion might even contain consciousness pressure. Who knows, just one pressure and you'll die. Who knows how powerful Fantasy Spirit Emperor's 18 levels of love illusions are? If it's extremely powerful, wouldn't you have nowhere to cry? An absolute being that knew the severity of the situation would probably set up an illusion according to Hong's strength. However, Fantasy Spirit Emperor's temper was famous for being eccentric. She obviously didn't allow any man to touch her, yet she was always so alluring. Her temper was violent and savage, yet she always acted gentle. Who knew if Fantasy Spirit Emperor's 18 levels of love illusions weren't a path to death? If she really wanted Hong to die, would Hong still be able to live? Hong glanced at Luo Feng. No problem. Swoosh. A silhouette appeared at the entrance of the 101st level of the palace. It was a lady completely covered in a misty rainbow robe. One could only see her purple eyes, but her face couldn't be seen clearly. Immediately the surroundings went silent. The spectating ladies and disciples were all too respectful to make a sound. Right now you still have a chance to retreat. Fantasy Spirit Emperor looked at the distant Hong. If you choose to retreat, even though I'll look down on you, at least, you'll keep your life. If you don't retreat, then follow this door and enter. Fantasy Spirit Emperor pointed at the door before her. This is the 101st level of the palace. Every level is a level of illusion. Once you pass it, follow the stairs and head up. Enter the 102nd level, and after you succeed, follow the stairs to the 103rd level. Keep going down. If you successfully exit the 118th level, you'll have succeeded. Otherwise, your life will be gone. Fantasy Spirit Emperor looked at Hong. Hong smiled. Big brother? LuoFeng's expression was anxious. However, he didn't know how to persuade his big brother. This Hong, even if trillions of people tried to persuade him, they wouldn't be able to shake his willpower. Hong smiled and glanced at Luo Feng, after which he walked towards the distant door. So, he had already arrived at the entrance of the hall, and with a single step, he stepped into the hall. Rumble. The entire 101st level immediately became a blur. The naked eye couldn't even see what was happening within. At this time, Hong had no way to turn back. Success, life. Failure, death. The majestic palace before him pierced through the clouds. If it was on Earth, Luo Feng would be able to see half of Earth from space. However, he was unable to see this majestic shrine. Fantasy Palace. Misty energy revolved around the palace. The 101st level was dark and blurry. Luo Feng stared with all his might, trying to see Hong's situation within the palace. However, it was a waste of effort. It wasn't just Luo Feng looking. Even the large amounts of Devil and Spirit Clan women and Fantasy Spirit Emperor's disciples were looking at the palace. All of them wanted to know if Hong could pass the 18 levels of love illusions. Rumble. The hall on the 101st floor shook, and the inside of the hall became clear. Hong, who was standing in the center of the palace, looked up and smiled at the distant staircase. He immediately flew up and swiftly followed it towards the 102nd level. I've passed the first level. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Wah. The human flow followed the staircase and swiftly rushed up to the 102nd level. Fantasy Spirit Emperor was right at the front. Luo Feng, the black-feathered man, and the other disciples followed closely behind. The large amounts of devil and spirit clan women followed at the back. The second and third levels of love illusions. The amount of time Hong took to break through them was getting longer and longer. What do I do? Luo Feng watched as Hong followed the staircase and went up to the next level to attempt the fourth level. He couldn't help but be anxious. This is after all an illusion set up by Fantasy Spirit Emperor. And Big Brother is only universe level. If he's not careful, he'll fall. If he really fails, do I really have to watch him go to one of the Universe Mercenary Alliance bases and commit suicide? However, I can't persuade him. And this is a bet between him and Fantasy Spirit Emperor. Even my teacher can't interfere. Luo Feng was very anxious. He couldn't help and could only watch as everything happened. Strength. This was all about strength. If he had the strength of a universe country leader, he could completely suppress Fantasy Spirit Emperor. There wouldn't be a need to go through so much trouble. He was a little genius. Before Fantasy Spirit Emperor, he was just a junior that hadn't truly grown up. Your big brother's willpower is very strong. He actually passed the 5th level of love illusions. Outside the 105th level, the rainbow-dressed Fantasy Spirit Emperor laughed softly. Senior Fantasy Spirit Emperor, please show mercy. Luo Feng bowed respectfully and pleaded. You don't have to beg me. Fantasy Spirit Emperor's soul-stirring purple eyes glanced at Luo Feng. I'm only letting him attempt the 18 levels of love illusions. It's just a test of love and lust. As long as he doesn't get confused by it and sees the true nature of love and lust, then he'll have hope of surviving. Love. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. Human. Fantasy Spirit King laughed lightly, or should I say, wife. As long as it's alive, there will definitely be desires. You want to live long and become an eternal existence? You want to control the lives of tens of thousands of people? Want a beautiful wife? You want your loved ones to live a good life? Want to stand out? To become a true expert? Fantasy Spirit King laughed. All of these are all desires. Desire. It is the source of the progress of life. Fantasy Spirit King smiled. No matter how pure a person is, they will still have desires. It's just that their desires are different from others and more unique. Luo Feng was stunned. Desire? That's right. Whether it was the path of the strong, the path of training, the pursuit of pleasure, the pursuit of food, in short, as long as one was alive, they would definitely have desires. Even wild beasts and ferocious beasts all had instinctive desires. Like mating, having more female companions, eating more and better. Desire is limitless. Fantasy Spirit Emperor said softly, there's no such thing as good or bad. And life itself, there's only the difference between being controlled by desire and controlling desire. Love and lust is a type of desire, and it's also a very, very complicated one. Even some extremely powerful undyings might not be able to see through love and lust. Fantasy Spirit Emperor laughed softly. I've set up these 18 levels of love illusions. It's filled with the different tastes of love and lust. Even gods would fall within. And him. Since he's deeply in love, then love and lust, to him, should be an extremely difficult level. Fantasy Spirit Emperor smiled. Only by passing the 18 levels of love illusions would he have the right to be with my disciple. Luo Feng took a deep cold breath, looking shocked at the devastatingly beautiful Fantasy Spirit Emperor. As someone who was often taught by his big brother and second brother, Luo Feng, who had a deep understanding of mental state training, he was very clear on how difficult it was to understand desire. There was an old saying on Earth that even heroes have a weakness for beauties. Even some of the saints from the past had their own dreams and pursuits. Like ruling the country, etc., these dreams and pursuits were essentially a type of desire. Wanting to transcend desire? Impossible. No wonder Fantasy Spirit Emperor only passed the 19th level of the Heavenly Bridge, yet still had such terrifying power, almost comparable to Sky Feather Emperor and my teacher True Yen Emperor. Luo Feng thought, no wonder she could directly control 2 Emperor-level undyings. Fantasy Spirit Emperor, she's indeed terrifying. Big brother. These 18 levels are all about love and lust. Can you pass them? Luo Feng looked at the blurry palace before him, feeling anxious within. Even though he had confidence in his big brother, Luo Feng didn't dare underestimate the great eternal beings of the universe. Even though Earth's mental state training had some pride in being unrivaled in the universe, those beings that were able to dominate the universe and survive for countless years. And one of them was a huge universe country, a great being that presided over it. These truly great beings who would dare say their mental states were weaker than Luo Feng, Thunder God and Hong? One couldn't underestimate these eternal beings. 30. How's your discussion with Big Brother going? A mail appeared on Luo Feng's arm screen. It was from his second brother Thunder God. Regarding Luo Feng and Hong going to meet Fantasy Spirit Emperor, Thunder God was naturally informed. Second brother. Luo Feng's consciousness flashed with a few words. The screen automatically floated with the words, forming a mail and swiftly sending it to his second brother. 18 levels of love illusions? Big brother's mental state training is extremely high. He'll definitely be able to pass them, I believe this. Thunder God replied. Second brother, these are the 18 levels of love illusions personally set by Fantasy Spirit Emperor. As a very terrifying being of the universe, she's lived for who knows how many times longer than Earth's Chinese culture. You definitely can't underestimate her. Luo Feng replied. Big brother, how many levels have you passed? The 9th level. Right now he's taking longer and longer to break them. Luo Feng swiftly communicated with his second brother Thunder God, simultaneously anxiously watching his big brother pass the 18 levels of love illusions. As time passed, Fantasy Spirit King and her disciples, as well as the large number of female members of the evil spirit race, all felt the pressure. They all followed Fantasy Spirit King up layer by layer, watching the process of Hong passing the 18 levels of love illusions. Of the 18 levels of love illusions, the first was the fastest. The further it went, the slower it got. The 10th level. The 11th level. The 12th level. Hong found it harder and harder to break the illusions. However, every time he passed, he was still that resolute. This, big brother, you have to succeed, you have to succeed. Luo Feng, who had been watching from every level's entrance, prayed within. He actually made it to the 14th level of love illusions. This LuoFeng's big brother is quite powerful. To be able to make it to the 14th level, it means his willpower is very, very strong. Unbelievable. I couldn't tell. The women of the Devil and Spirit clan exchanged messages and muttered. And Fantasy Spirit Emperor was very calm at the start, till Hong Qinggong frowned after passing the 14th level. I don't believe that a man who is obsessed with love can pass through the 18 levels of love illusions. Fantasy Spirit King's eyes were like lightning, and her face had a layer of killing intent as she stared at the 105th level. In that secluded pavilion, the short-haired lady was silently standing in front of the window and looking in the direction of the Fantasy Palace. Within her field of vision, the Fantasy Palace pierced through the clouds and was covered in mist. It was impossible to see its height with the naked eye. Your Majesty Qing, that Hong has already passed the 15th level of love illusions. He succeeded, he's really passed the 15th level. The two Devil and Spirit clan ladies at the entrance shouted. The short-haired lady looked up, her eyes filled with anxiety and worry, saying, Big brother Hong, you have to make it, you have to. I have to make it. Luo Feng stood at the entrance of the 117th level, staring hard at the palace. Outside the entire 117th level, the large number of Devil and Spirit clan ladies all held their breaths. Even Fantasy Spirit Emperor's expression had completely sunk, her eyes not blinking as she stared hard at the palace. Everyone felt the pressure increase, because the further they went, the more exaggerated the difficulty of the love fantasy became. After a long while, rumble. The hazy scene in the 117th floor shattered, revealing the pale-faced, black-haired man Hong. There's still the last level. Hong looked up. He didn't even glance at the people outside, immediately following the staircase and heading towards the last level, the 118th level, to attempt the 18th level of love illusions. The human flow was like a river, reaching the 118th level. I'll definitely succeed, I'll definitely succeed. Luo Feng stared unblinkingly at the 118th level, his forehead beaded with sweat. Fantasy Spirit King, who was in front of him, stared at the hall. She didn't believe it. She didn't believe that the 18 levels of love illusions she had set up for a man deep in love would be broken through. A man deep in love would obviously be affected by love. However, breaking through the 18 levels? Impossible. Fantasy Spirit Emperor's eyes gleamed coldly. The 118th level shook violently, after which it calmed down. A black-haired, black-clothed man with a smile on his face walked out, stepping through the doorway and walking out of the palace. Senior Fantasy Spirit Emperor, I've already successfully passed the 18 levels of love illusions. The black-haired, black-clothed man said respectfully. The corridor outside the 118th level of the palace was at least 1 kilometer wide. There were tens of thousands of people gathered, all looking in disbelief at the black-haired, black-clothed man. They had been serving Fantasy Spirit for a long time, following beside her, they were extremely clear on how terrifying she was. Almost no one believed that Hong could pass the 18 levels of love illusions. Fantasy Spirit herself couldn't believe it either. Impossible. Fantasy Spirit stared at the man before her, many thoughts flashed through her mind, however she quickly calmed down. I didn't expect someone who would die for love to actually pass the 18 levels of love illusions. Fantasy Spirit looked at Hong, her purple eyes gleaming with a peculiar light. You surprise me. Love, there's nothing to be afraid of. Immerse yourself in it, enjoy it. Hong said, your soul will give birth to a wondrous feeling, that's love. Fantasy Spirit looked at Hong, examining him. Now I understand a little why Qing fell in love with you at first sight. Fantasy Spirit nodded, after which she turned to look at the black-feathered man. Bushla, bring Luo Feng and Hong to see Qing. Yes, teacher. The black-feathered man replied respectfully. And Fantasy Spirit King's body disappeared with a swoosh. After she left, the corridor immediately began to bustle with noise and commotion. The surrounding tens of thousands of enchanting demon and spirit clan ladies were all pointing at Hong and Luo Feng, discussing, almost as though they were very concerned about the two of them. Please follow me. The black-feathered man smiled at Hong and Luo Feng. Congratulations on passing the 18 levels of love illusions too. The rest of us here probably don't believe you can pass it. The black-feathered man smiled. I too had a hard time passing it. These 18 levels of love illusions are indeed terrifying. Hong said. Of course, how could my teacher's illusions be weak? The black-feathered man led the way ahead. Luo Feng and Hong stood shoulder to shoulder. Big brother, congratulations. Luo Feng communicated, his face revealing a sly smile. Congratulations on being together with your wife forever. Hee hee. Hong was all smiles. Big brother, how are the 18 levels of love illusions? I was worried to death just now. Luo Feng communicated. The illusion is very powerful, but it doesn't pose a threat to me. Hong transmitted. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with shock. What, there's no threat? However, I see you getting more and more tired with each level, slower and slower, almost as though it's taking a lot of effort. This. In disguise. Hong glanced at Luo Feng and communicated, Fantasy Spirit Emperor is watching from outside, and this 18 levels of love illusions was set up by her. If I were to easily pass level after level, where would she put her face? She's the great Fantasy Spirit Emperor, yet her 18 illusions were swiftly broken by a universe level punk. It's simply too embarrassing. If I break through it quickly and easily, out of embarrassment and anger, she might immediately change the love illusion after I break through the 18 love illusions. Hong transmitted, if she really wanted me to fail, it would be very easy. For example, she could directly use a soul attack to cause me to die in the illusion and fail. Who here can tell that she secretly made a move? Even if it's you, seeing me die in the illusion, you'd think I didn't pass it, right? Hong looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was stunned. Right. Hence, I had to act according to Fantasy Spirit Emperor's mentality, making her feel as though I was about to fail, and with such incomparable difficulty, finally breaking through the formation. That way my goal would have been achieved. Hong smiled at Luo Feng. Luo Feng nodded. Indeed. His big brother had been acting from start to finish, and this performance had indeed made him extremely nervous, almost as though he couldn't hold on any longer. Each level was harder and more time-consuming than the last, so it was all an act. Strength is very important, however, sometimes it has to be combined with other factors to get the best results. Hong communicated. However, big brother, this love illusion, that Fantasy Spirit Emperor said it was all love and desire. How did you get through it so easily? Luo Feng asked curiously. His big brother was obviously a person deeply in love. For Qing, he came without even knowing the details of the 18 levels of love illusions. Such a person could easily break through the illusion of love? Well, it was after all a very complicated desire. Many heroes and warriors had fallen deeply in love. Our China has this saying, look at a mountain as a mountain, look at water as water. The mountain isn't a mountain, look at water as water. The mountain is still a mountain, look at water as water. Hong communicated. A person who has never experienced love would naturally think that love is love. However, only those who have truly experienced love would find it incomparably complicated, like looking at a flower through a fog. Everything is like a dream, unable to see clearly. Love is infinitely complicated in their eyes, because the various emotions and experiences make them realize how complicated love is. At this time, the mountain isn't a mountain, the water isn't water. Only by experiencing the world of mortals, studying the human heart, seeing clearly the many emotions and grudges within, can one finally see the true face of love. I've already reached the stage of returning to my true self. My understanding of love is incomparably clear, seeing through the essence what I want, what I can die for. I can no longer be tempted, all of this, I've already comprehended it. Hong looked at Luo Feng, smiling as he communicated. At this time, looking at a mountain, it's still a mountain. Looking at water, it's still water. Love, in front of a person at this level, it's already very clear. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. He understood within. Not all those who are deeply immersed in love will be unable to extricate themselves. Hong smiled. You're not a fish, how would you know the joy of a fish? Only those who have truly seen through love will know that immersing themselves in love is the path. And forbidding love, that's going against one's heart. Hong said. Everything I do, I follow my heart. Some things I should do, some things I shouldn't do. Some things I know are life-threatening, I still have to do. He chatted with his big brother while following the black-feathered man Bushla, heading towards Qing's residence. Shua. Dressed in a rainbow robe, Fantasy Spirit Emperor appeared before the quiet pavilion. Lord. The two devils and spirits clan ladies before the pavilion, upon seeing Fantasy Spirit Emperor, were shocked and bowed respectfully. Fantasy Spirit Emperor immediately pushed open the door and entered the pavilion. Within the pavilion, the short-haired lady who was originally standing by the window and looking outside turned to look at the entrance. Seeing Fantasy Spirit Emperor, she bowed respectfully, Teacher. You should have received news that the junior called Hong has passed the 18 levels of love illusions I set up. Fantasy Spirit Emperor looked at her disciple Qing. Qing was an extremely exceptional disciple. He was the most exceptional out of all the disciples under her. Fantasy Spirit Emperor liked this disciple from the bottom of her heart. Yes, Qing understands. Thank you, teacher, for showing mercy. Qing bowed respectfully and gratefully. Fantasy Spirit Emperor snorted coldly, after which he sat on a chair beside and looked at Qing. Qing, I didn't show mercy to him. It's just that the one you like called Hong has indeed exceeded my expectations. He was actually able to pass the 18 levels of love illusions. The short-haired lady couldn't help but blush when she heard this, as well as a sense of pride. I've said it before. The moment he passes the 18 levels of love illusions, I won't stop you too, and I won't expel you from my sect. Whether the two of you love each other and have children or break up or anything else, I won't care. Fantasy Spirit Emperor looked at the short-haired lady. Qing, thanks, teacher. The short-haired lady's eyes gleamed. However, there are some things I have to tell you before this. Fantasy Spirit Emperor pointed in midair and a screen appeared. On it was a book, This Is My. After a round of conversation. After a while, footsteps and soft chatter could be heard from outside the pavilion. In the distant corridor outside, the black-feathered man Hong and Luo Feng walked at the front. Behind them followed a large number of young ladies. They were all from the Demon and Spirit clan, obviously here to watch the show. Luo Feng, Hong, this is Ji Qing's residence. The black-feathered man Bushla pointed ahead at the quiet and beautiful pavilion. Ah. Hong's eyes gleamed. His gaze landed on the pavilion and he walked over. Luo Feng and the black-feathered man followed behind him. Creak. The pavilion's door opened and a short-haired lady walked out. Luo Feng looked at this lady. Even though he had seen Ji Qing's picture in the virtual universe network, when he saw her in person, Luo Feng felt something different about this Ji Qing. She was taller and her body proportions were perfect. Her short hair made her look valiant and heroic. The expression on her eyebrows made her seem like a very decisive, determined and independent lady. Simply put, she gave off the feeling of a strong woman. However, her eyes seemed to be filled with spring water. Looking at Hong, she seemed like she was about to cry. You really are silly. The short-haired lady looked at Hong and said softly. Hong only smiled. The short-haired lady immediately rushed up and hugged Hong tightly. She couldn't control her tears and they flowed uncontrollably. In the distance, the Demon and Spirit clan ladies all revealed smiles. Luo Feng too smiled as he watched this scene. Don't take such a risk. It's not worth it. Ji Qing hugged Hong tightly. Hong gently caressed her hair. After which the two separated and their eyes met. Everything has passed. Those obstructions have all vanished. Hong looked at Ji Qing and smiled. What? Ji Qing suddenly let go of Hong's hand and retreated. Qing. Hong frowned. Sorry, it's not worth it. Ji Qing looked at Hong. Go. Just treat me as your memory. Go. Hong's expression changed. Luo Feng, who was watching from the side, was stunned too. What was going on? His big brother had thought of all sorts of ways to finally get Fantasy Spirit Emperor to stop obstructing them. However, why did Ji Qing herself say such words? Qing. Hong stared at Ji Qing. From her eyes, he could deduce whether or not she had been hypnotized or some other technique. Hong looked into Ji Qing's eyes. The eyes were the window to the soul, especially for Hong, who cultivated his heart realm to an extremely high level and had extremely keen observation skills. He could completely determine whether Ji Qing had been hypnotized, bewitched, or other secret arts through the minute reactions in his eyes, or if he was speaking from his heart. What's going on? What did His Majesty Qing mean by those words? What else could it mean, break up? Why did he suddenly break up? Didn't he refuse to submit before, hence he was locked up in the pagoda? Why did he suddenly change his mind? In the distant walkway, the Devils and Spirits clan ladies were all discussing softly. They too were curious what was supposed to be a joyous occasion. How did it become like this? Hong looked quietly at Ji Qing. Ji Qing too looked at Hong. From her eyes, Hong could deduce that Ji Qing wasn't hypnotized. Why did you suddenly decide to leave me? Hong looked at Ji Qing. You told me before there are some things I should do and some things I shouldn't do. When making decisions you have to be decisive. What needs to be sacrificed should be sacrificed. Ji Qing said softly. Even though her voice was soft, even Luo Feng, who was standing behind Hong, could clearly feel the determination in this short-haired lady's words. Hence you sacrificed our feelings for each other? Hong asked. Ji Qing didn't speak, just gritting her teeth and nodding. Sacrifice. Hong stared at Ji Qing and said in a low voice, why didn't you say these things when your patriarch and your teacher tried to stop me? Why did you force yourself to resist them? However, now that I've asked my brother to help me, I finally met your teacher, Fantasy Spirit King, and risked my life to clear the 18 love illusions. When I successfully cleared the 18 love illusions and came to find you happily, you were telling me these things. Why? Why did you suddenly change your mind? Why didn't you say it before? Hong stared at Ji Qing. Ji Qing was silent. Hong's rage was already rising. Luo Feng, who was standing beside, was also unsatisfied. How did everything become like this? This Ji Qing had been resisting the ancestor and teacher, but now she suddenly changed her mind at the last moment. Look, that Hong is about to go crazy. Anyone would go crazy. I heard he risked his life to pass the 18 levels of love illusions. If he wasn't careful, he might even lose his life in reality. Now that Qing Majesty suddenly said these things, how could he not be angry? It's me. I'm angry too. How can I give up such a good man? The women of the Evil and Spirit clan discussed among themselves and watched the development of the situation. Hong looked at Ji Qing. Ji Qing lowered her head. I have to make a choice. Love is important, but some things are more important than love. That's what you told me. Hong took a deep breath. Have you really made up your mind? Hong asked softly. Ji Qing nodded. Hong revealed a bitter smile. I never thought that after so many years, the first time I fell in love with a woman would be like this. Ji Qing bit her lips. Even though she was a strong woman and could make many decisions within the family, she even felt that she was much stronger than her father. Even when facing those undying senior brothers and sisters, she didn't have any thoughts of lowering her head. However, in front of the only man she loved, she always felt weak. Ji Qing. Hong looked at her. And the short-haired woman raised her head and looked at the man she loved the most. I hope you can achieve your goal and dream. Hong smiled. At the same time, I'm sorry for bothering you during this period of time. Finishing, Hong turned and walked towards Luo Feng. Third brother, let's go. Hong looked at Luo Feng and said, following which he vanished into thin air. Luo Feng looked silently at all of this. He then looked at the distant short-haired woman who was holding back her tears, sighing softly. So, he too vanished into thin air, his consciousness returning to reality. Big brother Hong. Qing watched as Hong turned and left. In her mind, Hong's final words resounded. Sorry for bothering you during this period of time. Bothering me? Qing muttered within. She was very clear on Hong's character. That seemingly simple sentence of sorry for bothering you during this period of time, and then he turned and left, it hid a great deal of pain. Also, Qing understood that the moment Hong left, he probably wouldn't turn back. Because she understood him very well. Sorry. Qing said within. The onlookers of the evil and devil tribe were all a little dazed. They thought that Hong, who had obtained the opportunity by risking his life to pass the 18 love fantasies, would be in pain, sad, angry, and would do something extreme. But none of them had expected that he would just say, sorry for bothering you during this period of time, and then turn around and leave. Just like the Undyings under the Virtual Universe Company, their palaces were all on Thunder Island. The palaces of the Universe Mercenary Alliance's Undyings were all gathered on the same plane. Everything that happened in the Fantasy Spirit Palace was quickly spread by the servants as they chatted. Consecutively passing the 18 levels of Love Illusion's Fantasy Spirit Emperor setup, this punk is not bad. At least he's very strong against Love Illusions, his other aspects shouldn't be too bad. Ah, and he's a special elite of our Battle Axe Coliseum? Arrange for someone to recruit him into the training camp that's currently undergoing training. Yes, Lord. Ganwu Universe Country, one of the 9 first-grade administrative planets, Jade Dome Planet. Luo Clan Villa. Luo Feng looked at Hong before him and sighed within. Ever since 3 days ago, the seemingly perfect ending matter suddenly changed. Luo Feng had already made up his mind then, even directly telling Hong, I'm sure she was originally so determined to resist her teacher and the head ancestor. However, at the last moment she suddenly changed her mind. That's not normal at all. If it wasn't Silver Snow official causing trouble, then it was Fantasy Spirit Emperor causing trouble. Hong replied back then, of course I understand either Silver Snow official or Fantasy Spirit Emperor influenced Qing. But big brother, why did you just leave like that? Just give up like that? Luo Feng asked. Maybe others influenced it, but the decision was made by Qing. Hong smiled indifferently, and I'm very familiar with Qing's personality. She's very similar to me. Once she makes a decision, it's very hard to change. And I could hear that she made that decision from the bottom of her heart. Why? Luo Feng asked. Why did she give up? Because of herself or for the family? Hong sighed softly. I'm very familiar with her. She's a very strong person. Her determination to become an absolute warrior, it doesn't pale in comparison to her desire for love. And she has a very strong determination to inherit the family. Standing within the villa, Luo Feng looked at Hong, recalling the conversation between the two of them 3 days ago, sighing within. No matter what, this big brother of his had a tragic ending. Luo Feng, don't feel bad for your big brother. Hong smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. Life has its own joys and sorrows, and after I passed the 18 levels of Love Illusions, the upper echelons of the Battle Axe Coliseum took notice of me. They even specially ordered me to enter the elite training camps. If it wasn't for the special order, I'd have to wait a few decades before I can enter. Luo Feng nodded. Take care. Don't worry. Hong smiled and nodded. Luo Feng, my disciple, and I will leave first. The white-haired old man Luo said. Luo Feng nodded. Immediately, Luo Feng and Hong entered a circular disc-shaped purple and gold universe ship with a diameter of 620 m parked on the grass patch. This was the ship the Battle Axe Coliseum specially sent to pick up Hong. Big brother, make a name for yourself. Let Fantasy Spirit Emperor take a look. Luo Feng shouted. Haha. Walking to the cabin door, the black-clothed Hong turned and laughed. Make a name for yourself, I've never doubted it. Third brother, you can't relax, otherwise big brother might catch up to you. If you have the ability, go ahead and chase. Luo Feng laughed loudly. After which Hong laughed loudly and entered the universe ship. After a while, this huge disc-shaped universe ship slowly rose up, leaving the Luo Villa and quickly rushing into the sky, disappearing into the depths of the clouds. On the grass patch, Luo Feng looked up as the universe ship left. Your Majesty. Dylan stood behind him. Big brother has gone to the Battle Axe Coliseum's elite training camp. Luo Feng exclaimed, no matter what, big brother's matter is over, this matter ends here. There's no need for me to stay on Jade Dome Planet anymore. Dylan, go make the arrangements and prepare to head back to my home. Yes. Dylan nodded. Luo Feng looked up. Oh, Milky Way. Earth. It had been over 200 years since he'd returned to Earth. His Luoshire family was already a big family. It's time to go back and take a look. Luo Feng thought. That day, Luo Feng brought his guards and sat on the Unimo Planet ship, leaving Jade Dome Planet and heading towards his home Milky Way. Ganwu Universe Country, about tens of thousands of light years away from Jade Dome Planet, a very normal life planet, Vero Planet. Vero Planet, within an underground base. Leader, the information has been sent through the Virtual Universe Network. After 369 levels of translation and the universe coordinates, we've gotten the information. Luo Feng has just brought his guards and left Jade Dome Planet in an F-grade universe ship. His destination is unknown, the information department has deduced. The probability of Luo Feng heading towards his home is 72%. A silver-uniformed bald three-eyed man said respectfully. The other bald, three-eyed man in a black uniform was looking at the screen in front of him. On the screen there was a detailed information. It was information on Luo Feng. The information on number 9 is still very little. We have to gather enough information and have absolute confidence before we can carry out the assassination. Within humanity's 1008 universe country territory, every time we carry out an operation we have to pay a huge price. We have to do it once and succeed. The last time we failed to assassinate number 1, our losses were huge. We can't fail again this time. The black uniformed bald three-eyed man said.